Well, hello, it's Rich from RichDPC. We are here to do a PC build. This is my first attempt at recording a PC build. This build is for Craig, one of my biggest fans on YouTube. Craig has been sim racing on his Xbox console, and he's been getting a bit more serious. So he reached out to me and Joe Gabriel from Archangel Sim Racing Group, and we are going to do a proper build for him. Joe's doing 90% of the build, and I'm just doing the computer. And I just figured I would capture this. So here we're going to open up everything here, tell you about what we have. So this is the Asus B650 E Gaming. It's a strict board, really nice board. This is on the AM5 platform, so we do have some forward compatibility on future AMD CPUs. We're currently using the 7900X CPU. This is a non-3D version, which I don't like the 3D 7900X 3D. I like the regular one on this one. We have 2 terabytes of Gen 4 storage by Crucial, 32 gigs of G.Skill Flare X RAM, clocked at DDR5 6000. So we will be running that using AMD Expo. And we've got the Lee Galahad 2 Trinity with the standard fans. This is actually an upgrade from what we were going to do originally. We were going to go with the standard AL version. And we also have the Gaming Trio RTX 4090 by MSI. For power supply, I found a nice Asus 1000 watt PSU with 12 volt high power cables natively. We won't be using the stock cables though. Well, we will use some. We'll be using extensions and full replacements by CableMod. This is how they look. They are currently on order. This is actually a similar cable that I had from a previous build. So this is how it's going to look. I'm waiting for those to come from CableMod directly. So yeah, that's going to look nice. We're going to just put everything together on the main board, get everything fired up, get BIOS updated, and make sure everything is tested properly on the main board. That's kind of my normal procedure here. As far as graphics card, though, the graphics card has already been tested. I hijacked Craig's 4090, and it's currently in my PC build. I was having some weird graphic issues with my card, or maybe I think my riser cable, so I'm using Craig's 4090. It's already been tested, so I know it works good. So anyway, let's get everything out of the box here. Yeet. Let's get that out of here. Okay. I feel like I went backwards a little bit. Anyway, there you go. As I said, this is my first attempt here, so bear with me. So here, let's get the board out. Let's get some of these stickers off here. Little protective stickers. Really nice board. Really happy with it. Has a really good audio chip on it. I'll show you all the connectivity in a bit. But really happy with this board. I have it. It's been circulating on quite a few of my RichDPC builds out there, toward the higher end. Typically my high-end builds either have this board with the 7900X CPU, or there's a few systems out there that I have with the 7800X 3D with MSI boards, or even there's a Gigabyte board. Those boards are a little more on the basic side, but this one is kind of my favorite out of the mid-range. So we're going to get everything installed here. We're going to start off with installing the CPU. Getting this out of the box here. And by the way, I was doing audio live, but unfortunately I had music in the background, and YouTube didn't like it, and I had copyright issues there, so that's why I'm now redoing this video and doing a voiceover. So opening up the ILM, getting the cover off. Make sure you save these covers. Never throw these out. Okay, always save them. You never know if you need to sell the board later on, etc. Let's get this bad boy out of the container. Careful when lifting this up. You don't want to ruin any pins on the motherboard. Okay, always be careful. Take your time, line it up. Put that down, then pull the flap down, and do not let that slap back at you like it just did. That really actually hurt. All right, let's get this SSD installed. All right, now there are a number of slots. There are 3 slots on this board natively. The top one is the preferred one. Middle one is also a great one, and also the bottom one. On certain boards, you should pay attention to which one is ideal. Sometimes your speeds can be limited depending on how many PCIe lanes your board has. But with this one, no issues with running the top slot. So that's the preferred one. We'll run at the full Gen 4 speed. Two small screws hold the heat spreader on. There's a thermal pad there. Now, talking about the board and why I like it, you have 4 USB 3s, 1 USB 3 there, 4 USB Type 2s, 2.0s, another USB 3.0. Then you have your USB-C there, another USB-C, and then you have your 5.1/7.1 surround sound output, which is great. Just overall great board. Fantastic amount of headers on the board for PWM fans, and also all your RGB goodness that you need to wire up. There's also, if I recall correctly, there's 2 locations that you can plug in your USB 3.2 front header from your case, but I could be wrong. Anyways, let's get this SSD installed. Actually, no, I am wrong. There's only 1 location, which is fine. All right, so let's zoom in here. I'll show you. These newer boards have an integrated clip that hold the SSD on. Let's take the protective film off of the thermal pad. That's on the heat spreader. Just line it up, get it on there. Great. Rich, you're doing fantastic. Couldn't have done it better myself. Great. All right. Now let's open up the box since we have our box cutters out. Let's put those away so I don't cut myself. Let's get our Ramses out. They're called Ram, not Ramses. Just, anyway. And oh, look at that. I have Joe Gabriel calling me right now. We're going to go ahead and mute him. Sorry, Joe. All right. There we go. Those are in. Now it's time for me to fiddle with the cooler. Yeah. I've cut out a lot here. This cooler is very unique. There's a lot to it. This is this is Lian Li's 2nd generation of coolers. And in their efforts, they have made many of their products easier to install with less wires. This product does not follow that logic. There are more cables than I can remember. It's been a few months since I've installed this particular cooler. And if you saw the live video, it would show. Just the sheer amount of me fumbling around. These are all Intel bracketry, as Jay's 2 cents would call it. We're going to get rid of all these things and kind of keep it simple. We need to remove the Intel bracket and install this one here for AMD. So let's slide this bad boy off here. Let's focus. Yep, so there we go. We're going to slide this off. Install the AMD bracket. There's only one way that this really goes on. So that's the orientation. Let's take off the protective strip. Always do that. Otherwise, you'll have terrible cooling. I always like using some compressed air to make sure there's no dust on the CPU. On the IHS, integrated heat spreader there. Let's get some thermal paste on there, and I don't care what you say. I didn't put too much. I didn't put too little. This is fine. Shut your hole. I know what I'm doing. Thanks so much. Let's get this put on here. Get some wires out of the way. Lots of wires. There's like literally 3 wires already on the cooler just out of the box, and you need to install quite a bit more too, which is just the silliest thing. All right, so let's tighten these screws. Let's get them on here. Joe's texting me again. Sorry, Joe. Alright, these are just about tight now. A little bit on each side. Get some nice even distribution of pressure. Okay, it's lining up all of the cables. So yeah, this is me fumbling through. This is me fumbling through, taking off some wire ties, etc., etc., etc. In a moment, I'm going to cut away, and I'm actually going to read the owner's manual and refamiliarize myself with these cables because it's just silly. You have one for PWM. This is basically the pump connector. Then on the actual fan radiator hub here, you have a PWM for all three fans, and then you have your JST connector for your RGB. And this is me fumbling. This is me fumbling. This is one of the two additional cables you have to plug into the pump. And then it terminates to a that looking thing. It's like a JST connector, but it isn't. And then there's another JST connector there. It does not go on the left side. I'm fumbling. I'm trying. It actually goes on the right side. And eventually I figure that out. There it is. Yep, see, there you go. So that goes on the right side. This is me fumbling. This is me fumbling. I love the camera angle. And now I have to kind of figure out, oh yes, that's right. There's something I need to do there. Yep, okay, I got to plug that in there for the fan. That's PWM. And then now I'm forgetting to remove that extra cable that's pre-installed. Because, you know, Lee wanted to really make this one complicated. I'm installing the other cable loom that goes in the upper left side of the pump. That terminates to a 3-pin addressable RGB, 5-volt RGB header there, and that I'm going to plug into the header on the motherboard there. So we have motherboard control for RGB. And now I start figuring out, oh yeah, that's right, I need to unplug that so that I can plug in the JST RGB cable from the 3 fans. There you go. Now I'm figuring things out. So now I have all these wires that look absolutely terrible right now, but once it's in the case, I'll run everything nice. Yeah. Now I need to grab the 24 pin from my bench power supply. I've got a nice 1600 watt Superflower PSU that I use for my bench. We're now plugging in the 8-pin EPS cable. And then I'm going to remember momentarily that I need to plug in the SATA cable from the pump to a SATA cable loom from my power supply. And this is me fumbling through all these wires. There's like 30,000 wires that come from this pump. And then I realized I needed to adjust the brightness too. So there you go. All right. Now I need to grab some USB sticks and all that fun stuff. So I just downloaded the latest BIOS. I'm connecting my mouse and keyboard dongle there. So this particular board has been notorious with not having Ethernet drivers pre-installed. So one of these USB sticks actually has the Ethernet driver already installed on it. One of them has Windows 11 and the other one has the BIOS. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to plug in the BIOS USB stick. We're going to get this thing fired up. Get into BIOS. We're going to update the BIOS. And then we'll take it from there. And this is me telling you something else that I can't remember what I was saying. But just go along. Yep. Great. That's Windows 11. Yep, I said that already, Rich. Good. Yep. Let's go. All right. Got my mouse now. That's important. All right. I just plugged in the power supply. That's why it flashed. And now we've got RGBs on the motherboard. I'm using a screwdriver to jump the power cable. Oh, look. Fan spin. We're working. We're going. The orange light, the white light for VGA, and then we turn green. Great. We're going to BIOS, baby. Let's get the keyboard out. Great. Press Y for F to reset FTM. We're updating the BIOS. Notice the red stick, and my camera stopped recording, so I'm not showing you exactly where to go to install a new BIOS, but just trust me, I did it right. Progress bar is going. If you've never updated a BIOS before, it could be one of the most nerve-wracking things for you. I get it. I've done this so many times. I don't even break a sweat. Alright, this is me explaining things at 1 in the morning, because that's when I did this. Great. Turns off, it comes back on. Totally normal when you're updating BIOS, and then we need to do the BIOS is updating the LED firmware by itself. So nothing for me to do or click. We just kind of, you're still along for the ride here. And we're coming back on. There you go. BIOS has been updated. We're getting a CPU error, CPU fan error, which is normal because of the way that this particular cooler is wired. The fans are not wired directly to a PWM header on the board. So we need to go ahead and go into BIOS and disable that monitoring function. So first thing, let's enable AMD Expo so that the RAM runs at the 6000 speed instead of 4800. Let's go to the advanced mode here. We'll go to monitor. Let's make sure that we're ignoring the CPU fan. We're going to come down to AMD Expo or AMD overclocking. And we're going to go to Infinity Fabric. We'll set this at 2000. All right, so now that that's set at 2000, let's go back. Let's go to Precision Boost Overdrive. We'll change this from auto to enabled. We need to go to AI Tweaker. There's another section that says Precision Boost Overdrive. Not sure what, there's always two spots in these AMD BIOSes. And we're going to change it from auto to enabled as well. Good. Now, once we have the GPU hooked up, we will also disable the integrated graphics, but we are currently using the integrated graphics. Make sure that resize bar is on. It's on by default. So that's good. You can now take out the BIOS USB stick. Now I'm going to install the USB stick that has the Ethernet, and also that's the Windows 11 USB stick that I have. Alright, now we're going to click exit. We're going to get out of the BIOS. We are all done for now. Oh, I'm looking for the Ethernet cable. You need to make sure you have the Ethernet plugged in. Exit. You can also use Wi-Fi, but then you would need to install the Wi-Fi drivers. At least on this particular board. Most boards, when you're installing Windows, you won't need to do that extra step that I'm doing here, but for some reason this board just is notorious for not having the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet basic drivers just to get you up and going. Alright, now it's going through its thing. Now that we've applied all those settings, for Precision Boost Overdrive and the AMD Expo, the board's just making sure it's happy. Many people recommend against doing what I just did, and most people would say just install Windows, make sure it's stable as is, and then you go and do those things. I don't waste time. I just you know, if it's not stable with PBO and AMD Expo, it's useless to me. It just gets returned. It's just not it's not a rich PC, you know, level system. So that's my take on it. All right, since there's nothing on the screen, my camera's having a hard time figuring out what to focus on. Still getting used to my new camera. This is a Canon R6 Mark II. Replaced my old Canon 6D Mark II. There we go. Oh, come on, focus on something there, man. It's also low light in my basement. All right, there we go. So now we're installing Windows. So now instead of just clicking install, I'm going to select drivers. I know it's hard to see. There you go. Turn down the ISO a bit. Check the box. Do custom. And then click down there where it says drivers. There you go. Zoom in so we can see a little better. Okay, we're going to browse for said drivers. You're going to look for them on your USB stick. I selected the wrong one at first. There you go. Look for Windows 11 drivers. There you go. Now it's installing the Ethernet driver. Okay, now we're going to install Windows on the drive. Oh, really important. If you are installing 2 SSDs on your system, I recommend only installing one. Because if you have 2 installed, and let's say they are the same size, you will not know which one is which. So you may have one that's a little faster than another. If you have both of the same speed, maybe it doesn't really matter. For me, I like knowing which SSD has, my boot drive, Windows, and which one has just files. So for me, I always like only having one SSD installed at a time. So we're doing the rest of this kind of in real time. I'm not really doing any cuts. It's doing its thing. Click restart, or if you don't, it'll still restart anyway. All right. Getting ready. So this is just going to be part 1. Part 2 will be, I'll actually install the motherboard in the in the case and put all the fans. I'm pretty sure at least I'm going to do that. So anyway, still doing its thing. Okay. One moment. Wait a moment. We're getting things ready. Hey, there we go. Okay, yes, United States. Yes, US keyboard. We're going to skip adding a secondary keyboard. Updates are being installed. That's why you need the Ethernet cable. Yes, I will keep my PC on. Yes, I will keep Craig's PC on, actually. They're getting things ready for us. It's exciting. Very exciting. You're very welcome for our patience. Good things are coming our way. Good lap times are coming Craig's way. You know, they say that, when you switch from other PCs to a rich PC, you automatically shave off, 5/10 off of your best lap times. I think for Craig, he didn't even have a PC. So, I mean, it's like, 1,000% improvement, which is great. That sounds intelligent when you say 1,000%. Totally. No signal. What's going on? Just kidding. It's normal. By the way, if you've made it this far, I have to tell you, you're a trooper. I appreciate you. I hope you've subscribed if you're actually watching all of this up until this point. I'm sure Craig's gonna watch this 1,000 times. All right, let's name your device. We'll put Craig's PC. Or Craig PC. Okay, it's doing its thing. We're almost there. Promise. Okay. Now this is where you unplug your Ethernet cable. Oops. I'm not going to sign in with a Microsoft account. It's the worst thing you could ever do. Click back. Who's going to use this PC? Right now we can name it locally. Uncheck all these things. they're getting things ready for us. We are in the home stretch. I realized there was no reason for me to do this in real time. This is arguably the most boring part of PC building, is the drivers, the Windows installation, all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's important to really show people what, just what you go through. This way, if you're doing one yourself and you see this video, maybe it puts you at ease, saying, okay, it's normal. It takes a bit. It's all right. In a world where everything is instant, this isn't instant. Just give it a little time. Don't mess with it. Don't hit it with a stick. Don't poke it with a stick. Just let it be, man. I miss Windows 10. When you install Windows 10, it would actually give you like a progress bar or a percentage bar. Here, it's just like, just gives you words and verbiage. Yep, we're keeping it plugged in. I'm making gestures to the screen. We're almost there. Hey, there we go. Great. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually install Armory Crate. I'm going to I won't do drivers from Armory Crate yet. I'm just going to install Armory Crate. I'm then going to do all the Windows updates. Once all the Windows updates are done, I will then go into Armory Crate and install drivers directly from there. I know some people don't like Armory Crate, but I do it in a way where it minimizes the hit on the PC performance, because I disable some things after it's all installed and all the drivers are there. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.